what does Salah think now? Because I think players and the top players, they have an ego. I think over the last week, I'd question his work ethic.
As you can see, it's not just the three of us in here. So we've got a special guest with us today as well. John Gibbon joining us from the Anfield Wrap. I wish I could say it was to talk about happier times. Let's have some perspective here. Premier League champions, had a wonderful start to the season. But the last week's been a bit tougher.
No, it has, yeah. It's, to be honest, we always thought, I think most Liverpool fans thought it might take a while into the season to get going, and then we were winning every week, and you do get carried away as a supporter. You're like, oh, maybe we're just going to blow the league away this year. Maybe it's going to be similar to last season where we just put this great points total. I think the last 3 games, the last week's been a bit of a reality check, and we've realised that maybe we are a little bit further away than what we were hoping. But like you say, still not in a bad position and a long way to go.
I think there was worrying signs from the start. I know, obviously, Liverpool win the games, but they weren't winning them in a manner they was last season, and I think there was signs there that something weren't quite right, and I think the last week has shown that. I think he's obviously he clearly doesn't trust any of the right backs he's playing, and the rotation and where it's coming in, and it maybe affected the balance of the midfield they had last season. So I think it's a big challenge now, because with the players, new players coming in, having to get that mentality of winning every week. I think it's a big challenge for Liverpool. I think they've got to really look at it and try and change it.
It's a challenge for the manager, but you've got to think it's a challenge he wanted, hasn't it? Because he last year, he didn't really get any of his own players, and it was pretty much Jurgen's team, and he did make some tactical changes to it, particularly with Gravenberch and how he used him, and he got a bit more out of Mo Salah, so you think, well, fair play to that. But now he's brought in a number 10, which I think he always played with in Holland, and what he wanted, the money they've spent on the forwards, he'd be delighted by. So he's got this international break now, and I'm sure he'll be, whether he goes back home to Holland, I don't know, but I'm sure he'll be spending a lot of time thinking, well, how do I make this work? Because I think it is fair to say it isn't quite, the balance isn't quite right of the team, either going forward or at the back, really. There seems to be spaces where there wasn't last season, and also with the ball creatively, it's just sort of a little bit slower, and that can happen when you're still getting to know your teammates. It's not quite as fluid. They're all having to think a little bit more, look up, well, where is my teammate? Whereas last year it was, you could almost do it with their eyes closed. So it's a bit tough to watch at the moment. But listen, he's a great manager and a great footballer, so you've got to back them to get it right sooner rather than later.
Do you think it's too much change too soon?
It's a lot, I think. I think it is. It's more than what you'd like. It's funny because as fans, you always want transfers, don't you? You always want the shiny new thing. But the 2 league titles that we've won, they've done it without making any transfers at all. Last year it was Chiesa, and the year Klopp won it, I think they just brought in a sub goalie, and so the continuity. There's a lot to be said for it, and but as fans, and probably managers as well, you always want to improve. But I think there is a little bit of a lesson there. It is a lot. I think there's a couple of players who've left. Someone like Luis Diaz, who was a really great player for Liverpool and would frustrate people sometimes with streaky scoring or whatever, but he was a battler for the team. He was an outlet, and I think a few players like that who've gone out, and maybe people are realising actually they were doing a lot for the side there who aren't there now. So, but you look, there's so much talent in the team as well that you just think, you're just hoping it'll click sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think Trent's a big loss. I think. There was obviously a lot of debate whether he was the best defender or he couldn't defend, but I just think, some of the passes he played through to Salah in particular, and his switches of play, I think that's a big loss for Liverpool. And also I think with the players coming in with Isak and Ekitike and Wait, the money they've spent on them, what does Salah think now? Because I think players and the top players, they have an ego. They have a bit of an ego, and Mo Salah's been one of the best players in the league for a long time. And I think the last week has shown something. When it's going well and you're scoring goals and you're winning games, I think it's great, and the team will put up with that. But I think over the last week, I think I'd question his work ethic. I think, and we know he doesn't always get back and defend as much, but I think last night, the Chelsea game, I thought, his fullback is getting torn apart, and he's watching. He's not getting back. He's not helping her. I think players like Van Dijk and obviously Alisson weren't playing yesterday, but them leaders in that dressing room, they should be telling him, you know, you need to help out. And for me, that was a worry, and I think he's looked a little bit lost over the last week, in my opinion.
I think lost is maybe how he feels, and he's made a couple of interesting comments to the media this season about, you know, I think when he said Arsenal, he felt that Arsenal were favourites because they had the continuity and things like that. And I think a few people said it was mind games. I don't think he's really like that. I think he's pretty honest. And there was the comments on social media where he'd seen someone say about the upgrade up front, and he was like, don't speak too badly about the guys that gone. And that was a real insight to me, that he actually really valued what they were doing for him. And like you say, Wayne, the team was built around him last year, but then when you sign players like Isaac and Wirtz, then you're not necessarily going to abandon Mo Salah, but it is going to change the way you play. And you think, well, how is this team built now? And is he just another player? And not necessarily how he feels about that, but is that going to? Are you going to get the same levels of output from him? He loved playing with Trent. Those early balls that Trent would hit him with, and you know, over the top and find him in space. You know, those incredible long passes. He's lost that now up front. Darwin Núñez divided opinion, but Mo Salah loved him because he'd do a lot of his work. He'd do a lot of his chasing up there. I don't think Salah's been doing as much defensive work for a couple of years now. But they were helping him. And Szoboszlai.
Certainly over the last 6 months, the people I know, Liverpool fans in Liverpool, was on his back, but that's what I was saying before, because he's scoring goals and winning, you get away with it. But I think the best managers see that and they adjust. I'm not saying they'd leave him out of the team. We had it with Ronaldo at Man United, where similarly he wouldn't track back as much, and so Fergie moves him inside. So you've still got that balance of the team, you've still got that work getting done, but he moved him inside, so he's still on the pitch because he's always got a chance of scoring goals and win games. And I think when you get a little bit older as well, I think Slot maybe could have looked at that yesterday and thought, you know what, Chelsea are killing us down the side. Move him inside a little bit, even if you put Wirtz out there and still have, you know, that work ethic behind you, but then have that brilliance of Salah to go and try and score goals. So I think that's just, if I was a Liverpool fan, it'd be a little bit of a concern to me.